and slowly losing them. There's a moment that catches most people off guard. It usually happens after a really good interaction. You're together. The energy feels real. She laughs a little longer than usual. She looks at you in that soft, unguarded way. And for 1 second, it feels like something is finally opening between you. Then the next day, she's different. Short replies, less warmth, a little more distance in her voice. And you're sitting there staring at your phone thinking, what just happened? Did I imagine that? Why does she seem close 1 minute and gone the next? If she feels something too, why is she pulling away? Am I pushing too hard? Or not enough? Here's the truth most people miss. She may not be pulling away because she feels nothing. She may be pulling away because what she feels is getting too real. And when real feelings keep colliding with fear, confusion, bad timing, old wounds, or emotional uncertainty, they don't always grow. Sometimes they start to fade beneath the surface. So no, you're not crazy. And no, this doesn't automatically mean you did something wrong. This is not a sign that you're impossible to love. It's a very human pattern, one that happens when connection shows up before safety does. By the end of this video, you're going to understand the 7 biggest signs she's fighting her feelings for you, why that inner conflict can slowly make her emotionally withdraw, and what this actually means before you misread the whole situation. Let's get into it. Most people think feelings work in a straight line. If she likes you, she leans in. If she cares, she makes it obvious. If the connection is real, things naturally get easier. But the real truth is more complicated than that. A person's nervous system reads emotional risk before their mind can explain it. And when someone has feelings they don't fully trust, can't fully express, or don't know how to hold, those feelings don't always make them move closer. Sometimes they make them hesitate. Sometimes they make them guarded. Sometimes they make them look almost cold, when beneath the surface they're actually overwhelmed. That's the part most couples never understand. What looks like mixed signals is often mixed safety. What looks like disinterest is sometimes emotional conflict. And what looks like she's over it can actually be someone trying to outrun feelings that no longer feel simple, safe, or sustainable. This is especially true when attachment patterns get activated. If she leans avoidant, emotional intensity can feel like pressure even when she wants the connection. If you lean anxious, her withdrawal can make you pursue harder, which makes her retreat more, and suddenly both of you are trapped in a cycle neither of you meant to create. Not because the feelings weren't real, not because either of you are broken, not because love is impossible now, but because unspoken fear changes the emotional tone of everything. And here's what changes everything. If you don't understand the signs correctly, you'll either chase what's fading, mislabel fear as indifference, or hold on to hope long after her inner conflict has already turned into emotional drift. So let's talk about the signs. 1. She gets close, then instantly pulls back. Here's the part no one talks about. Most couples assume inconsistency means a lack of genuine connection. They see the hot and cold pattern and think, if this were real, it would be steady. But that's not always how emotional intimacy works when someone is fighting what they feel. Because the deeper truth is this: closeness activates whatever lives right next to longing. For some people, that's joy. For others, it's fear. She feels the connection, but the moment it starts becoming real, her nervous system sounds the alarm like a smoke detector that can't tell the difference between warmth and danger. So she moves toward you, feels exposed, and then instinctively becomes withdrawn to regain control. Most people in relationships never catch this in real time. They only notice the distance. They miss the fact that the distance started right after vulnerability. So it looks like this. Disconnecting version. One night she opens up, laughs, shares something personal, maybe even lets the tension drop and tells you, "I feel really good with you." Connecting version. The next day, instead of staying in that softness, she goes quiet, replies with LOL and "yeah, maybe," and acts like nothing happened, because inside her something is saying, "That got too close. I need space before this becomes something I can't control." That's not clarity, that's conflict. And when you understand that, the mixed signals stop looking random and start looking like someone standing at the edge of real connection, wanting it, but not knowing how to stay there. And when you see that clearly, the walls between you stop feeling invisible. 2. She starts acting colder right after you matter more. And this is the one most people never figure out. Most couples think emotional warmth should increase in a smooth, obvious way. If she likes you more, she should text more, show more, say more. That's what romantic movies teach you. That's what your friends will tell you too. But here's the real pattern. The more you matter, the more power you have to affect her. And if she doesn't feel ready for that, she may protect herself by becoming less emotionally available right when her feelings are getting stronger. That's why she can seem oddly detached after moments that should have brought you closer. Not because she doesn't care, but because now she does. Bro, that's the trap. Most couples misread this completely. They think the drop in warmth means the connection is dying, when sometimes it means the connection has started asking more of her emotionally than she knows how to give. A real-life example looks like this. Disconnecting version. You spend a great weekend together. The vibe is effortless. She's present. She's relaxed. Then Monday comes, and she's suddenly brief, hard to read, and emotionally flat. Connecting version. What's actually happening beneath the surface might sound like, "I can feel myself getting attached, and I don't know if that's safe for me right now." So instead of leaning in, she dials herself down. This is why emotional distance isn't always a wall. Sometimes it's scar tissue. It forms slowly after too many moments where closeness felt beautiful, but also dangerous. And when you recognize that, you stop taking every shift in tone as proof that nothing was real. That's the shift that turns confusion into emotional clarity. 3. She notices everything about you, but pretends she doesn't care. This is where it gets really interesting. Most people in relationships assume that if someone is detached, they stop tracking you. They stop noticing the little things. They stop remembering what matters to you. They stop being affected by your energy. But the deeper truth is almost the opposite. When she's fighting her feelings, she often becomes hyper-aware of you. Your mood, your tone, who you're with, what changed in your voice, what you didn't say today that you usually say. Her nervous system is still tuned in. She's just trying not to reveal how tuned in she is. That's why you'll sometimes notice something strange. She remembers details she shouldn't remember. She catches shifts you didn't think she'd notice. She asks casual questions that aren't really casual, because beneath the surface, she's still emotionally tracking the connection, even while trying to look unaffected. Most couples miss this because they only trust overt affection. But attention is a form of attachment too. So it sounds like this. Disconnecting version. She says, "It's whatever, do what you want," in this cool, almost dismissive tone. Connecting version. But 2 minutes later, she asks, "So who's gonna be there?" Or, "You never mentioned that before." Because inside her brain is quietly registering, "Why do I care this much if I'm trying not to?" Not obsession, not jealousy games, not meaningless curiosity, but a woman trying to act neutral while her feelings keep leaking through her attention. And when you start seeing that, you understand that sometimes the clearest sign of emotional conflict isn't what she says. It's what she still can't stop noticing. 4. She keeps the door open, but never fully walks through it. But here's what nobody explains. Most couples think indecision is just immaturity or playing games. And yes, sometimes it is. But a lot of the time, indecision is what happens when someone wants the connection and fears the cost of it at the same time. She doesn't fully leave, but she doesn't fully arrive either. That in-between space can last way longer than people realize. Because as long as things stay undefined, she can keep the feelings alive without having to fully face them. She gets connection without total exposure. She gets possibility without full vulnerability. Most people in relationships stay stuck here because ambiguity feels safer than truth. But ambiguity has a price. It slowly drains emotional momentum. So you'll hear things like this. Disconnecting version. I really like being around you. I just don't know what I want right now. Or, I'm not trying to lead you on, I'm just confused. Connecting version. What she may actually mean is, I feel something real here. But if I step all the way into it, I'll have to face parts of myself I'm still trying to outrun. Man, that matters. Because this isn't always about you lacking value. Sometimes it's about her lacking readiness. And when feelings live too long in uncertainty, they don't stay warm forever. They begin to drift. They lose oxygen. They go from alive to unspoken to faint. That's the shift that turns chemistry into almost. 5. She responds to your presence, not your pursuit. Here's the part most couples get backward. Most people think more effort creates more connection, more texts, more reassurance, more explaining, more trying to prove how genuine you are. But when she's fighting her feelings, your pursuit can actually make her more withdrawn if it carries pressure instead of presence. Because the real issue usually isn't lack of evidence, it's lack of safety. Your nervous system communicates before your words do. If your energy says, "Please choose me so I can feel okay," she feels that. If your energy says, "I want you, but I'm grounded either way," she feels that too. One creates pressure, the other creates space. Most couples never figure this out. They think connection comes from intensity, but connection usually comes from steadiness. So compare these two moments. Disconnecting version. You say, "Why are you being weird? If you care about me, just say it. I'm tired of mixed signals." Connecting version. You say, "I'm not here to force anything. I just know what I feel, and I'd rather be honest than confusing." And something in her quietly registers, he's not trying to corner me. He's actually safe to be around. Not more texting, not bigger gestures, not performing confidence, but grounded emotional presence. That's what shifts the energy. And when you do that, she stops feeling like she has to defend herself from the connection and starts feeling invited into it. 6. She starts looking tired instead of torn. And this is where it gets painful. Most couples think the danger sign is anger, or distance, or one big dramatic breakup conversation. But often the real turning point is emotional fatigue. At first, when she's fighting her feelings, there's tension, there's push and pull, there's heat, there's confusion. She feels something, and you can feel that she feels it too. But over time, if nothing gets clearer, the conflict wears her out. And worn-out people don't always explode. Sometimes they just go quiet. That's when she stops seeming torn and starts seeming tired. Not because the feelings never existed, but because carrying unresolved emotional weight for too long exhausts the nervous system. Most people in relationships miss this stage because it looks less dramatic, but it's often more final. So instead of hearing, "I don't know what I'm feeling," you start hearing, "I've just had a lot going on," or "I'm not really in the space for this." And beneath the surface, the inner monologue is no longer, "What if this is real?" It's become, "I don't have the energy to keep feeling this and not knowing where it's going." That's a huge shift. Because once emotional conflict turns into emotional depletion, the connection can start fading for real. Not in a loud way, in a quiet way. In the kind of way that feels like watching color leave a room. And when that happens, the relationship doesn't feel intense anymore. It feels like something's slipping through your hands. 7. She stops reaching emotionally and becomes merely polite. And here's what changes everything. Most couples think the worst sign is rejection. It's not. Rejection is at least honest. The more dangerous sign is politeness. Politeness can look calm. It can look respectful. It can even look mature. But sometimes, politeness is what happens when someone has started emotionally stepping back while still trying not to hurt you. She still replies. She's still nice. She's not cruel. But the warmth is gone. The curiosity is gone. The turning toward is gone. And that matters because real connection has texture. It has play. It has emotional risk. It has little bids for closeness. When those disappear, what's left can start feeling clean on the surface, but empty underneath. Most people in relationships hang on to politeness because it feels safer than facing the truth. But polite distance is still distance. Here's what that looks like. Disconnecting version. She says, "Haha, yeah, hope your week goes well," and leaves it there. No follow-up, no thread, no emotional opening. Connecting version. A woman who still has enough emotional energy for the connection says, "How did that thing go today? I know you were stressed about it." Because when someone is still invested, they don't just respond, they reach. Not drama, not conflict, not silence, but the slow replacement of connection with courtesy. And that's usually the final sign. Because when she stops fighting the feelings, one of two things happens. She either chooses them, or she stops feeding them. And when she stops feeding them, the relationship doesn't die in one moment. It drifts. It cools. It becomes something that once felt real, but no longer feels alive. So what do you do with all of this? You stop romanticizing confusion. You stop chasing every moment of warmth like it cancels every moment of distance. And you stop telling yourself that hidden feelings are enough to build a real relationship. Because they're not. This isn't about becoming more persuasive. It isn't about decoding her every move. And it definitely isn't about forcing a woman to admit something she's not ready to hold. This is about becoming the kind of man who can read patterns clearly, stay emotionally available without abandoning himself, and recognize the difference between someone who feels deeply but is scared and someone who is slowly letting the connection go. That's maturity. That's self-respect. That's what real love asks of you. If you internalize this, you stop reacting to mixed signals and start responding to emotional reality. And the truth is, that changes everything about who you become in relationships. These aren't just signs to watch for. They're an invitation to become more grounded, more honest, and more awake to what connection actually needs in order to survive. Because love doesn't disappear the moment feelings get hard. But it does disappear when fear stays unspoken long enough to become distance. Real intimacy doesn't die when feelings get complicated. It dies when two people keep feeling deeply and never build the safety to be real about it. If this hit home, drop a comment with the word real so I know this message found you. And if you want more videos like this on connection, attachment, and what actually makes relationships last, subscribe and stay close.